Hi everyone, I'm Tam, and we are back with my experiences. I want to talk about the time when I was a hardcore vegan for several months, probably like 8 months, some of that. Yeah, a pretty decent amount of time to remember. Let's put it that way. So this is the time. This is around the time when I was like in community college. So around 1 or 2 years out of high school in community college, trying to go through, class and stuff like that. I was not in the best of physical health. My physical health was not doing so well. I probably it probably took me 12 to 14 minutes to run like 1 mile. That's how kind of bad it was. So anyway, it was terrible physical health. I was not proud of it, so I decided to do something about it. So I started to like I guess look at different I started to research like ways to train your body at home like calisthenics and came across books on like diets like carnivore stuff like that, and I came across one book in particular that kind of like spooked me a little bit. This book was called The China Study by Dr. Thomas Campbell. So Dr. Thomas Campbell is an astro doctor. So he's not a quack. He's an astro doctor. He went through the entire process, got medically certified, everything else. So he flew over to China to do some studies because he was trying to figure out why people were having a lot of like heart disease stuff like that in America, when in other countries stuff like that, in other places that doesn't seem to be the case. So he flew over to China to kind of like conduct his studies and just take data points between like blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. China is a big continent, no, a big country. It's probably the size of like all of Europe, geographically the size of all of Europe. So in some areas, yeah, some areas are kind of snowy. Some areas are kind of like yeah, beaches, stuff like that. Some areas are kind of warm. Some areas are windy. It's the entire range of climates is can be found probably in China. So Dr. Thomas Campbell kind of just went across China, kind of just took a bunch of data points, and when he came back and looked at his data, he plotted a bunch of things and saw the correlation. The more stuff, the more things consumed, the more uh, meat, dairy, eggs, stuff for animals that people consume, the higher the prevalence of heart disease. Like but high blood pressure and stuff like that too. Like so, he saw that there seems to be a clear correlation between the amount of stuff you eat from animals and the risk in developing heart disease and stuff like that too. Compared to people who compared to groups who ate plant based food like grains, like veggies, etc., they seem to have lower rates of developing chronic heart disease and so on. So that was kind of his aha moment that that's probably the reason, because you're eating a lot of stuff from animals. That's probably not healthy for you and so on. So anyway, so I read through the entire book. It was like 250 pages, something like that. I looked at all the charts, and I was pretty convinced that this was a thing. I had to like kind of like change my lifestyle around that, and so I did. So I completed like 180 my entire diet. I cut out all stuff from animals. Like some meat, dairy, eggs, um, oil. All that stuff was gone. I actually had to like make my own food because I was still kind of strict about it. Just kind of ADHD about it. That I made my own food, so I stopped eating the stuff from I stay away from the rest of the cooking for the families, and made my own kind of food, meal prep, so that because I was kind of so strict about it. It has to be this way. So I did it for a couple of months, and I definitely noticed a few things. Number one, the first thing I noticed was that I started to feel more lighter as a person. Like sorry that I feel more lighter as a person in terms of the amount of energy I had. And the reason why I think that that's the case is because consuming a lot of like plant based food. is easier for the body to handle compared to like meat, eggs, dairy. The fats and protein take more time to digest, more time and energy from your body to kind of squeeze the juice out. So consuming plant-based food on a daily basis means your body is running more, I guess, more easily. So you have more energy overall to use that would have been used instead to digest food. So I felt more like I felt more energetic. I had more stamina. That's the kind of feeling. I feel like more airy and kind of light on my toes as a person. That's how I would phrase it. And the second thing I noticed was my complexion, my kind of skin tone started to look more pale and kind of like I guess just more bright and pale. To some folks, I probably looked like I was kind of sick, I guess, because the skin tone definitely appeared to be similar to those who were, I guess, having colds and coughs. So that's the second thing I noticed. The third thing I noticed was that the amount of food I had to consume each day, like in terms of like volume of size. For example, one cup of rice probably gives you like 300 calories, and that's a one cup of rice. That's a pretty big size to a size meal to eat. It may take you like I don't know like 10 to 15 minutes compared to like a piece of chicken, which is like maybe like this big, gives you the same amount of calorie. You could like chug that down in like 5 minutes. So having to eat more food means I had to like make more time to eat the food. So like I probably was like maybe eating like 2 hours per day, maybe like an hour to 2 hours just to eat the food. Not including the amount of time to actually make the food itself, which is another story. So it's my day to day was consuming a lot of food. Most of that time was kind of consuming food, trying to like find between meals and classes, trying to just like you know get something inside because the number one thing has a vegan that you struggle with is calories. Plants have a lot of nutrients and fiber and stuff like that. However, the calorie is is what kind of fuels your engine. So not having enough calorie means you may collapse from exhaustion and so on. If you're not being mindful of how you're feeling, you may have like a fever and so on and stuff like that too. So vitamins stuff like that is not really a concern for vegan. However, having enough calories throughout the day is definitely something not to joke about. Because a salad may have a lot of nutrients. However, a salad is just maybe like 50 calories, and not maybe like 150 calories. With dressing, maybe like 450 calories. That's like nothing. That passes through your entire body in maybe like 2 hours. So I mean, near the end of my journey as a vegan, just to give you an idea of how kind of like lazy I was. Like initially, as a vegan, I was making like soups, stuff like that. So I got kind of like fancy with it, made a bunch of stuff. Near the end, I got so lazy with it. I just ate like brown rice like for like several months for like 2 or 3 months. It's just like hardcore brown rice. Like because I came across a study that compared two groups of athletes. One group was like eating like 19 cups of brown rice per day compared to the other group. So that was kind of difference. And this group was actually doing better than the other group in terms of building muscle mass. So um, during this time period, I was also trying to like build muscle mass and kind of like just be more physically kind of like I guess attractive. So near the end, each day, in the morning, I would like make like 4 cups of dry brown rice, which is like 8 cups of cooked rice. For flavoring, I would use like a v- a cube, with like a bunch of spices and herbs, that like to like put into the brown rice and kind of let that cook overnight to kind of like develop the flavor. So that's what I basically ate in the morning. Eight cups of like brown rice, and then when I came home from classes, 12 hours later, I would like do the same thing. So each day will be like about like 16 cups of like cooked brown rice, plus some flavorings from vegetable bouillon cubes, and maybe a bit of salt, and it's like just pretty much just brown rice. What one of my roommates actually looked at the food I was eating every day, and he said something like Tam, that looks like prison food. It looks like the stuff that prisoners would eat. So that was kind of like how lazy I got with the process. It wasn't like for the flavor or anything. It was just pretty much just for the calories. At that point, I just wanted more calories to sustain myself throughout the day, because like I transitioned from community college to like a 4 years institution, a real college, so to speak. So most of the day was just for classes. So anyway, throughout this kind of period, I was like a vegan, trying to like I guess be a bit of a bodybuilder, and also experimenting with like intermittent fasting as well, which is kind of hard to do as a vegan, because as I've said, the number one thing with vegans is that you lack a lot of calories. So anyway, that's why like like I had a big bowl of rice in the morning, like 8 cups of cooked rice, which is like which is the size of like like two big bowls. The amount of rice, the amount of brown rice that I ate that morning was so big that I literally just like yeah. I ate straight from from the from the pot itself. So I used the scoop and just ate it from the pot itself, because it was so big. Wasn't worth the time to put into a bowl, because it would have taken like two or three bowls to actually kind of scoop everything out. So I literally just like grab one hand with the rice cooker pot, and just use the plastic spoon with it, and just kind of ate like this. That's what I did in the morning, and that's also what I did during the night. So it's kind of how I was like rolling with it. Anyway, it was near the end. It was definitely kind of like kind of like hard, and I had to realize that this is not going to work out for me. So anyway, I not to say that being vegan is bad or anything else. It's just not a lifestyle that I pursue anymore right now.